Yesterday I made a video on stretching and whether you should do stretching before you start exercising or do a warm-up before you start exercising. When I said you shouldn't do stretching, and here's why, and I explained why in the video, but to explain it even furthermore, according to studies and books that I looked into, I'm not gonna share anything that I've no idea what I'm talking about, or I haven't researched myself, or I haven't studied it before in college. I'm a nutritionist. I studied nutrition for 4 years. I studied nutrition and dietetics, and I've studied personal training also, so I have pretty good knowledge when it comes to nutrition and exercising. So I explained why in the last video why you shouldn't do stretching, because when you do stretch a cold muscle, that's how you get injuries. And to minimize the risk of injuries, to avoid injuries and maximize your performance in the gym, what you want to do is basically do a warm-up. That can be in a way of doing light cardiovascular work, 5 to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, just to raise your body temperature, to prepare your body for a strenuous exercise. Also, you can prepare your body mentally and physically. I do that 10-15 minutes either on the treadmill, or I can do it with bodyweight exercises like I explained. If you're doing squats, I'll do bodyweight squats before I start doing the actual work, the actual sets that I'm going to do. Another way of doing a warm-up is doing a mobilization of major joints like your shoulders, your knees, just doing shoulder circles, knee bends, things like that. You can do a warm-up that way. So you have 3 ways of doing a warm-up: doing cardio, hopping on the treadmill, bike, cross trainer, or you can do mobilization of major joints, or you can do an active warm-up with just using your body weight, or you're using the barbell. Let's say you're doing bench press, you just use the barbell, get the blood flowing in there. I usually get my information from actual studies or books that are referenced and used by universities and colleges, are well-known books. So this book by Anita Bean, a well-known qualified nutritionist, registered nutritionist, this book called The Complete Guide to Strength Training. I have the 5th edition. To stretch or not to stretch. It was previously thought that stretching before exercise, before a strenuous activity, would help prepare the muscles for exercise and reduce the risk of injury. However, more recent research suggests that stretching before you start training is unlikely to benefit your performance or reduce the risk of injury, according to this study. Okay, reviews of studies conclude that stretching, in addition to aerobic warm-up, does not affect the incidence of overuse of injuries. If you go down on this page, the same book, it says there's no evidence either that pre-exercise stretching prevents post-exercise soreness or tenderness. Most experts believe that stretching is the best kept minimum prior to strength and power training. An active warm-up, including the 3 components of outlined above, is more effective. Okay, so that's exactly what I said. You should do warm-up. You have 3 components. You can either do cardio, like just warm up with sets, or mobilization of major joints, instead of doing static stretching, according to this book, and this book is backed up by studies. Another article I actually looked into before I published my last video is this article, Ask the Doctor, Stretching Before Exercise. This was published on Harvard Health Publishing website, Harvard Medical School. Okay, so what it says right there: stretching before exercise should make the muscles more pliable and less likely to tear. But when studies have compared rates of injury or muscle soreness in people who stretch before exercise and those who don't, they found little benefits to stretching. In fact, stretching a cold, tight muscle could lead to injury, which is exactly what I was saying. You need to get warmed up. You need to get the blood flowing instead of stretching a cold muscle. So who's talking absolutely nonsense? Obviously not me, because you haven't a clue what you're talking about.